up a lot of people I wanted to ask you about actually. So in that order. Speaking of Wayne, I was recently talking to Sean Jones, the trumpeter who I believe played with you.
Yeah.
And we were talking about Miles, and I was saying ESP, Miles Sparks, those records are the pinnacle, and obviously your work. And he's like, no, they're not Miles' records. They're Wayne's records. You're wrong, boy. And we had what's your view on that?
Wait.
How in control was Miles, and do you agree with that in any
Oh,
way?
he was saying that the records with Miles were Wayne's records?
I was saying they were my favourite Miles records, and he was saying they're not Miles records, they're Wayne's records.
Oh, you mean the ones we did with Miles Davis's group?
Yeah.
Oh, I've never heard it from. I've never heard that opinion. Certainly, Wayne was brilliant.
Yeah.
On those recordings. The great thing about Miles is not only is his playing brilliant, but he sets up an atmosphere that's so encouraging for the musicians that he's working with. In that case, we were very young musicians, and so it allowed us to really flourish.
So it wasn't that he was directing so much, but it was the atmosphere he created.
Right.
Yeah.
It was so encouraging and empowering.
I just want to check.
That we were free to be able to really do our best.
And this is something you've probably been asked before, but the record is you were fired from that group. Is that really the case? And have you ever been fired from anything else before?
Well, I mean, fired is a strong word. Replaced. It's actually more accurate because there was a reason why that took place.
Okay.
And Miles already knew that I was leaving the band. I hadn't concretely decided when I was going to leave. As a matter of fact, he already knew that Tony Williams and Wayne Shorter and I were already talking about, among
doing
ourselves,
your own things,
going out and doing our own things. So I already had a record contract before I was with Miles.
Taking off, yeah, of course.
But I never got to really play my songs when I was with Miles, except on occasion if he didn't show up. Then we got to play some of my other songs, But I was kind of looking forward to the idea of being able to do my own material. I had already been with Miles like 5.5 years. But what happened was there was a situation that allowed Miles to hear Chick Corea with the current band, which already had Wayne and Tony in it.
Yeah.
And it was because I had gone on my honeymoon. I had gotten food poisoning.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get back to this gig.
Yeah.
So Chick replaced me temporarily for that.
Yeah.
But then Miles realized Chick could actually do the job. And for him, it would be better to bring Chick in while Wayne and Tony were still there.
Yeah.
So that the transition could be a smooth one. And then when Chick was indoctrinated and then, presumably Tony and Wayne would leave, which in fact did happen.
Yeah.
But Chick was already kind of integrated into the sound, the kind of general sound of that band.
Yeah.
And so it made sense that Miles would want to have Chick in then.
Yeah.
I understood that perfectly.
Because I imagine you were annoyed though.
Because he had a new bass player already.
Yeah.
Dave Holland.
Yeah.
My last gig with Miles was Dave Holland's first gig.
Okay.
So he wasn't really fully integrated into the band.
Yeah.
So he was new. Chick was new, but Miles still had Wayne and Tony.
For the time being.
Right. And Ron Carter was already replaced by Dave Holland.
Yeah.
See, so it would have, if the three of us had left, Wayne, Tony, and me, if we had left, Miles would have had two brand new guys. He would have had to start from scratch again.
Yeah.
So it made sense that, when I was asked, to make my leave then, rather than later, they actually gave me a choice.
Yeah.
And And
you can stay if you want, and you said I'm going to go.
Yeah. They said if you really want to, and because they knew that was unexpected.
Miles said that. Okay.
Yeah. No, actually, he didn't say it directly to me. It was Jack Whittemore, who was his agent.
Yeah.
That said it to me, and but I understood, and I knew that it was going to be difficult. I knew at one time I was going to have to start my own band.
Yeah.
But leaving Miles was going to be difficult, so here was an opportunity.
Yeah.
So, because the band was so powerful, and so I was, the word comfortable doesn't fit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say that we had all really developed a direction, and which we had carved out, and Miles provided the atmosphere so that we were all a part of the development of the sound, and direction that we had, and so that would have been very difficult to leave without some kind of kick in the behind.
Well, it's interesting.
And so I welcomed it as an opportunity. So if to say I was fired doesn't really.
No, but that's
never felt like
how
that.
it is described.
Yeah, it never felt like I was fired.
No.
I mean, it was just a transition that was made.
And clearly,
if I was
you were
fired,
invited back many times. So
yeah. I still recorded with Miles a couple of records.
And as you said about that lineup, I mean, it's gone down in history as many people describe it as the greatest straight acoustic configuration that's ever happened. I mean, do you think that jazz has progressed acoustically since then, or is that as far as it could go?
Well, I never. I don't think that way.
Well, you guys all had to go electric to do something new, right? That's what happened.
Well, I don't think that way either. I just think, okay, here are some new sonic opportunities.
Yeah.
And first of all, I was already into technology, and ever since I was a kid.
Yeah.
So for me, there are new elements available. Why not expand the palette by including these new sonic possibilities?
Yeah, which you've obviously...
And that's what I did. And it was fascinating for me in particular because I've been into science and I've always been curious, and this was new and fascinating. So it was easy for me to embrace synthesizers and computer technology.
And you've never looked back. You've always been playing acoustically alongside it, which I think keeps the purists happy. What were you talking about, Chick?
Well, it keeps me happy too.
Yeah,
I love playing acoustic piano.
Yeah. Well, that's where it was.
I mean, it's my foundation.
Yeah.
And there's no sense in. Somebody asked me a question at Harvard where I'm giving these lectures, and they mentioned something about when you're moving forward and why is it that you go back into playing acoustic music? And I said, just the fact that you may be opening some doors to go forward doesn't mean you have to close doors behind you.
Yeah.
So I'm actually just being inclusive. I'm adding to the palette, adding to the possibilities.
But in the same way, speaking of Chick and Keith Jarrett and your other contemporaries, they've spent a lot of time exploring the solo piano route. Why have you never? I mean, and I think, by the way, the piano is one of your greatest records. Why is it you never sat down to? Why have you never chosen to develop that? Is it just the buzz you get off with playing other people, or?
You actually nailed it. Yeah, I really enjoy playing with the interaction and the dialogue with other musicians, and being able to provide some sonic atmosphere for them to play in, and to bounce off ideas. In the moment, and that's what jazz is really about. By the way, getting back to a question you asked me before, there's a guy named Flying Lotus that I've been kind of in cahoots with,
Okay.
having a dialogue with. He's from the electronic area. I don't know if you know who he is.
No, I don't, but I'm going to Google him instantly.
Check him out.
So that's
we got some.
That's what you're cooking up.
Some different stuff that he's doing. Yeah.
I'm sure you're a man who hates genre classifications, but if you had to describe the genre of what you're working on, is it like electro jazz or drum and bass, or how would you describe it? Future to future again, or
Well, to me, I just think that it's within the category of a word that's rarely used as a specific category. It's called music.
I thought you'd...
And it expresses itself in a lot of different ways. Yeah. But Flying Lotus, for example, I suppose people would put him in the category of electronic music.
Yeah.
But to just describe it that way really kind of misses the mark.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of different kinds of influences on the music that he's done, and some of it's been very, very modern, classical. Some of it has been R&B. Some of it is maybe hip hop. There's jazz influences.
Yeah.
So it covers kind of a broad territory, which is one of the reasons that I'm interested in working with him.
Well, we're obviously definitely looking forward to that a great deal. Okay. 2 minutes.
Yeah, there's no problem.
There's too many things I want to ask you. This is very difficult for me. Okay, I'll ask what I actually want to ask. Obviously, again, I'm not going to flatter you again too much, but you're known as one of the greatest players in the world, and your intuitive approach. We sit there and we don't know what's going on. I want to know what goes through your head when you're improvising. Are you thinking in terms of chords and scales and intervals and what I can do next, or even going outside the scale, or what goes through your head?
I try not to think.
Yeah, but you must think. Come on.
Well, first of all, that's a funny statement. Try not to think.
Okay.
But the reason I express it that way is I try to be.
Yeah.
I try to really to focus on the moment. And yes, there are things I've learned about harmony, about textures, about sound, about scales, and all of those things. But rather than focusing on them, if through part of my own intuition those elements have an effect on it, that's fine. But the main thing is to if those are in my tool shed, so to speak. It's just like having a conversation, like what we're doing. We have words in our tool shed, but the thing is, we're more concentrating on what is it that we want to express, what we want to transmit from yourself to the other person. So I'm more interested in what I want to transmit to the audience, and what I'm feeling, mainly what I'm feeling at the moment, rather than how to what are the tools that I want to draw on to express that feeling. I don't think about them. I just reach out and grab whatever is there at the moment, so the main focus is on the direction I'm going in.
Brilliant.
But the influences can come from anywhere, musically and technically. But there's also the influence of life and living, and the influence of the atmosphere and the people that are in the room. I just want to be open to all of the truth of that moment.